Hello and welcome all. This is Nilesh Lele. I would like to welcome everybody to today's event hosted by Chamber for Advancement of Small and Medium Businesses. Today's topic given to me is very interesting about startup funding or what investors want. I'm going to talk a lot from my past experience as a founding partner of Ramp Up Advisory, where we are currently advising more than 100 startups with regards to raising capital. Also, through my experience as a vice president with Barclays Capital and Deutsche Bank here in India as well as US. And through the learnings with my educational background, where I'm a CFA as well as FRM charter holder. So I'm glad that you have tuned and are watching my today's session, which is very important, especially for people getting into business and looking to raise finance through equity, right? Either through high net worth individuals or angels or VCs or Ps. And we are going to talk about all of those aspects as we go along through today's session. To know more about our company and me, you can visit our website at rampupadvisory.com. To know more about the chamber, you can visit the chamber's website at casmb.org.in. You could look me up at LinkedIn and send me a connect request, and I'll definitely connect with you. So when you start off a business or a startup, generally you have a particular idea in mind. Right? You're sitting with your friends, maybe watching a movie, and all of a sudden you think, oh, wow, this is a brilliant idea. Let's think whether we can have a business out of it. Generally, that idea comes out of what we call a problem statement. And the solution that you have is something that is not easily available in the market at this point in time. So make sure whatever startup you have, whatever business you have, has a well-defined problem statement and a possible solution. And let me give you a few examples here. Uber is a classic example and a very successful startup that we have currently experiencing. And it's not that taxi services did not exist prior to Uber coming into existence. But the existing taxi model, like I stay in Mumbai, so we call it the Kali Pili. The existing model prior to Uber was where you had to go find the taxi. He may say yes, he may say no. He may overcharge you or take you around the town and make you pay through your nose. Or you want to go to the airport at 4 a.m. in the morning, you're nervous whether you'll get a taxi or not. So there were certain challenges, problems in the existing taxi services. So what does Uber offer you? You sit at home, you can order, you know exactly how much they're going to charge, you know who the driver is, what his rating is, what the feedback other people have given. You can order and for a cab for tomorrow 4 a.m. So all the problems in the existing model were well defined, the problem statement was well defined, and the possible solution was put forth by Uber. And you can look at many other success stories of late, where be it Amazon, where traditionally we didn't order online, but we had to go to the store, look through different products, finalize it, and then order it, bring it home. Now what Amazon is doing, you sit at home, order whatever you want, it comes to your door place. So there are so many such successful startups or business models that if you see around, you'll realize that they worked on a clear problem statements and they gave you a very good possible solution. Let me give an example where probably problem statements are not well defined. Like I keep meeting a lot of startups and they come to me and they say, okay, I want to start a business about ABC, let's say spices business. I want to come up with spice mix. So I ask them, okay, what is the problem statement? Is it that there is a demand supply gap, or your product has a better quality, or your product is cheaper? What is it that the problem statement that exists in the current market, in the spice market? Have you defined it? And the solution that you're providing, is it better than the solutions available in the market? And many times, once I put this point across, they realize, oh, the idea that I have doesn't really address a problem statement. Similarly, you may come up with an idea, but having an idea is not necessarily creating a business model, right? Business idea is not business model. Like recently, I was thinking, somebody told me that in Bandra, there is a new mall that has come up where the parking is 1200 rupees. So I was thinking, can I come up with a model? Can I come up with an idea that, I hire few drivers and they can stand outside the mall, and customers can pay 100 rupees and go shop, come after an hour, pay 100 rupees and take the car. So they don't really have to pay 1200 rupees for the parking, but just hand off the car outside to the service that I'm providing. It's a brilliant idea, but will it be successful? It will only be successful if I can convert it into a business model. Maybe it needs to be an app driven thing where people can pre-book that they are coming to the mall, so they need a driver from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. We'll just hang out in their car, and they will have to pay only 100 rupees and not 1200 rupees as parking. But will they uh, trust me with their expensive cars? Will they trust those drivers with expensive cars? So there are so many other problems that this particular idea may not address. So even though I feel the idea is brilliant, whether it can get converted into a business model is questionable. Similarly, when you start your business, you need to come up with a vision statement. You need to define goals. You need to define who your target group is, who's going to buy your product or your service. You need to understand whether there is a need for your product. Like I always tell startups, whether your product is in a nice to have category or is it in a must have category. If you are in a must have category, you are in business. If you are in a nice to have category, it could be a little bit of a struggle. Of course, nice to have can become must have. For example, cell phones 20 years back were in a nice to have category. Today, they have become a must have. So you need to figure out whether you're a nice to have, whether there's a need, whether you're a must have, how fast a nice to have can become a must have, what is going to be your costing, how much it's going to cost you to make the product or offer the services, how much the pricing is going to be where the end customer buys it. So understand the difference between cost and price. Cost is the cost to manufacture a product. Price is the price at which the end customer, like what we call MRP, where the customer is going to buy the product. There has to be some calculations going in there. There has to be an understanding of who the competition is. Like I always say, competition is not only from direct customers, they're also from indirect customers, right? Let's say a kid has 10 rupees in his pocket. He's going to think whether I should have a chocolate, whether I should have a vada pav, whether I should have some cold drink. So resources, money is always limited. So there is always competition for that money. So don't think that if I'm going to make a chocolate, that only the big chocolate or the small chocolate companies are my competition. No, any product available for a 10 rupee, 20 rupee price point is your indirect competition. So have an understanding, have a study, identify the target group. Is it males? Is it females? Is it by income levels? Is it higher income, middle income, lower income? Is it particular demographics? Is it by region? Like even if we look at Mumbai, the western suburbs are more well-to-do than eastern suburbs. South Mumbai is well-to-do compared to some of the other suburbs. So I need to understand that who is actually going to buy my product, who my target group is, who my target customer is. That identification is very, very important. Like yesterday, I was talking to a startup, and he was talking about creating some cocktail premixes. So I asked him who his target group is. Is it going to be high income people? Is it going to be middle income? Is it going to be young adults? Is it going to be mid-age adults? Is it going to be senior citizens? You really need to work a lot and focus your energies on figuring out who the target group is before you get into any business. Then you, if you're doing business, you should make profit, period. I mean, there are a lot of startups, a lot of buzz going on in the startup world, where there's so many startups who are not making money and still getting the crazy valuations they are. I just don't, I'm not from that school of thought. If you are in business, you are using the resources, time, money, effort, natural resources, government resources, the earth, then you should make profit. It should increase the wealth of the nation, the wealth of the society, right? So destroying wealth is just not acceptable to me. So no matter what you do, sooner or later you should start making a profit. This whole startup world with losses and losses and losses and no profits in foreseeable future, it's just not something that I endorse to. Next point I always tell a lot of startups is, yes, idea is very important, plays a big role, but execution is even more important. It's not that the idea of an Ola or an Uber or a Facebook or an Amazon or a Flipkart or an Oyo or whatever, any ideas that you may think about. It's not that hundreds of people have not had that same idea, right? They may have an idea in some of the other format, but it's really the execution done by Ritesh Agarwal at Oyo, or these Olas or the Flipkarts or the Nikas or the Amazons or whatever of the world. It's really the execution that will determine your success. Another thing I tell a lot of startups is, please chase customers, be profitable at unit level. Automatically investors will chase you. If you chase investors, it does not guarantee that customers will chase you, right? So please make sure you chase customers, keep growing, get revenues, have repeat customers, be profitable at unit level, and automatically investors will chase you. Now when you approach an investor, he's going to look at the journey of the startup. He's going to see whether you have put in any of your own money through your savings or your through family, friends, or any other first round of investors. Because if your near and dear ones don't believe in you, they have not invested in you, how do you expect an unknown person to invest in you, right? So always go for some amount, some bootstrapping with your own savings, your own money, for parents, family, friends. It could be a small amount. You might have invested only 10 lakhs in bootstrap, but and asking for 10 crores from an investor, still it's okay. But some skin in the game is very, very important. No matter what the contribution is, how small the contribution is, there has to be some contribution from your side. Your skin has to be in the game. You have to be all in when you go and approach any investor. Very rarely an investor invests at an idea level, right? They need to see some proof of concept. They need to see some prototypes, some traction that, yes, I have made a product, right? I have made a product where it repels mosquitoes. Fine, very good. But show me how many people have bought it. Are they repeat customers? Are they liking it? Because once you have a traction, it validates that, yes, the product is good, the price point is right, people are liking it, people are coming back and they're purchasing it. So just on concept that I've created something that will keep the mosquitoes away or keep the snakes away or do something, that nobody's going to buy into your idea. They need some prototype, some traction to really understand that, yes, this will work. And we keep hearing in the newspaper, like I think today also there were a lot of IPOs or a lot of other startups who got funded. And let me tell you, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Hardly 2.5%. So 1 out of 40 curated startups get funded. But nobody talks about the other 39 or other 97% who don't get funded. So make sure you're in that 3% and not in that 97%, right? So like I meet so many startups, I'm working with so many startups, not necessarily that all of them are going to get funded. And I'll tell you why. Next 2 slides, I'll tell you exactly what investors are looking for. But this slide is also very important, where they look at the journey. They need to understand you have the skin in the game. Your near and dear ones are invested in you. You are very much invested in it. You have developed something which people are ready to buy. And this journey is very, very important. Now let's come to these two concepts where uh, based on which the investor will actually be interested in investing. First is what we call whether the startup is fundable and whether the startup is funding ready. Okay, these are the two concepts I'm going to talk about on this and the next slide. So what it means to be a startup being fundable. So you need to ask 5 questions to yourself or to your startup to understand whether it is fundable or not. So are you an industry leader? Are you a first mover? Is there any innovation? And again, if you go back to any of those concepts, maybe I'll throw in some more, like you have raw pressery doing cold pressed juices, or you have Hector beverages with paperboard, where the packaging and some of the flavors are innovative and first movers. So if you really see, most of these who have got funded, or the likes of Waycool or Nika or Paytm, if you see, they were the industry leaders or the first movers or innovation, right? Some aspect of innovation is very important. You go to to an investor and you say, okay, I want to start a bakery which is going to make breads like any other breads in the market, right, where there's so many other brands. No investor is going to get very excited, because he's going to say, it's a me too product. What is it different for you? Where is the innovation? So always make sure there is something different. It could be an incremental innovation, but it has to be something new, right? Some hatke has to be there in your startup. If it is a me too, 99 out of 100 investors are not even going to come back and even say no. They're just going to say, no, stop wasting my time. Second is, yes, there is innovation, but can you maintain that competitive edge, right? So if we talk about Facebook, it was the 7th social networking site that was started. So what happened to the 6 prior to that, right? So obviously they were the first movers, but they were not able to maintain the competitive edge. In fact, when I first got active on the social media sites, most of the Indians were on a social media site called Orkut, because the pages would load much faster than Facebook. But today, what happened over after some time, Orkut got bought by Microsoft, and today they have closed down. So they couldn't maintain the competitive edge, even though they were in the industry before Facebook. This couldn't maintain that competitive edge. And always remember, you come up with something, competition, others will come in, right? So you always have to be ahead of the competition and start bringing in new innovations. Maintaining that competitive edge is very important. Third, and probably very important aspect, is the scalability. And that's why you'll see most of my examples that I've been giving so far are all scalable model, all have an IT angle to it, be it a Oyo or a Uber or a Flipkart or a Nika or an Amazon or Ola or whatever. These are all very scalable model. Today you have 1,000 customers, tomorrow you can have 1 lakh, day after you can have 1 crore customers. So scalable model is very, very important. Fourth is whether this will actually make money. You have a very brilliant idea, like I said, that I can come up with an idea where, drivers, I can provide drivers for that small amount of 1 hour kind of slot, where people coming to the malls, they don't want to pay those high mall fees. So what they do, they pay a much lower amount to me, and my drivers will just go somewhere close by, and as soon as you call them, he can come back, right? So it's I think it's a brilliant idea, but can it really make money? Don't know. Does it have a large enough market? Don't know. Many people who are coming to this mall where they're the 1,200 rupees parking fees, probably they have their own chauffeurs, right? So probably my possible potential customers base is hardly 5%, 10% of the customers who are actually coming to that mall. So we really need to understand whether it will make profit. And fifth and final is whether this entrepreneurial team, co-founders, can make it happen. Will they grow my investment? So these are the 5 questions: whether is there some innovation, first mover, industry leader, whether you can maintain that competitive edge, whether it's a scalable model, whether it's possible to make money through this business, and whether this entrepreneurial team will help will make it successful, will help my investment grow? These are the 5 questions. If you answer yes to all 5 of them, then you are fundable. And I urge you today, after this session, you go and ask these 5 questions to yourself, because you are the first investor in your own company, and not just investing money, but you're going to be investing time, effort, the prime of your career, of your life. So it's very, very important that you revisit whatever business you are already doing or you want to do, and ask these 5 questions, and hopefully have an emphatic yes, that yes, definitely. Innovation, definitely. Can I maintain it? Yes, because I have a patent in my name. I would make sure nobody else infringes it. It is definitely scalable, can make money. It's definitely needed in the market right now. Like let's say this COVID vaccines, right? So Serum Institute, first mover, yes. Can they maintain their competitive advantage? Yes. They've invested, pumped in a lot of money. They made it scalable. Is it possible to make money? Yes. And they have a track record of running a very uh, successful vaccine kind of a company for many, many years. So they are very much credible of making growing my money. So if you look at that case study, again, you will say of emphatic yes to all 5 things. And you take any of these success stories, you will get yes, yes, yes to all of them. If you are getting no to any of these questions in your own business idea, try to see how you can mitigate, how you can convert it from no to yes. And if it is not possible, probably you are in the wrong business, where you are not fundable. You investors may not want to fund you, and that is why probably even you should not go in that business, because you are your business's first investor. Next is whether you're funding ready, right? So yes, funding, you're fundable. Great idea, brilliant idea. But are you funding ready? Right? Is it a strong team? Is it a trustworthy team? Many times investors like if it is a serial entrepreneur, or any of the founders, co-founders have startup experience. So any of those things will help. Whether the CEO or the team or the founders are coachable, because you cannot be adamant, because it's like a marriage, investor and co-founders, it's a marriage, right? So there will always be some adjustments. You cannot just say, hey, it's my way or highway, right? After I give you money, if you give that attitude to me, I'm doomed. So I want to see whether the founder, CEO is coachable, whether you're focused on the current idea or you keep jumping ships. Like today you're talking about going into selling organic food. Then you start saying, no, I want to also grow organic food. Then you also say, no, I also want to start an ecotourism in the farm. So I want to start buying land and farm myself. So you're not really focused, because these are all different businesses. So if you're an aggregator and you want to sell, you should precisely focus only on that, right? So whether you're focused, yes, we keep changing our ideas, but once we have narrowed down, once we have raised certain amount of money, we should stay focused on the idea that we have. They also want to see if it's a proven business model, and that's why traction is very, very important, where yes, I have enough customers who are willing to buy the product at the price point I'm selling, and they're coming back to me again and again and again. Similarly, revenues, are they paying customers? So that again proves that yes, this model that you have is definitely workable. Then how quick you adapt to new technologies, especially in last 2 years, where everything has changed, where like what we're doing right now, many of us have started using online portals like the likes of Zooms and Google Meets, and implementing a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning and blockchain in our day-to-day operations, also in manufacturing units also. So how quick are we to adapt newer technologies? Because technology is disruptor, right? So we need to the startup needs to be on their toes and be ready to adapt all of these, and what kind of a strategy they have, what kind of long-term strategy, is the marketing strategy the right fit in the long-term strategy they have, and whether they have a lean startup. This is again another classic mistake a lot of startups do, especially after they get funding, where they splurge a lot on hiring. They don't have lean startups. They become very much fatty kind of startups. They hire left and right, and then they don't get the results that they expect. So please, no matter how much funding you have got, please try to have a lean start. Okay, so these are two key concepts you really need to understand: fundability and funding readiness, right? So both of these, please introspect whether you have it in you and in your startup before you actually approach any of the investors, whether it's a HNI, whether it's an angel, whatever name you want to give. Make sure you have studied about your own business on these two aspects. Now let us come to the fact that why uh, startups or any business needs funds. So one is that what are internal accruals? So you're doing a business of 1 crore and having a profit of 10 lakhs. So that 10 lakh is not enough for you to grow fast. You need 1 crore a year, right? 10 lakhs will take you, will help you grow only 10%. So you want a faster growth. So internal accruals, the profits are not large enough. So you want investor money, so that today I have 5 stores, I want to go for 100 stores. The profits that I make can help me grow only 1 store a year. Not good enough. So let me take funds from outside and start up 15, 20 stores at a go. I'm sorry. So that's the first thing, where you don't have enough internal accruals, but you have visions of growing really fast. The second means you are actually spending more than you're earning. And that typically happens in the early stages, where your development costs are there, or your manpower, your research and development, your sales and marketing are expensive, right? So you're actually spending 5 lakh rupees and earning 3 lakh rupees. So there's a difference of 2 lakh, which is the burn. So every month, and a lot of startups in the early days, they burn money. And that's again precisely why you need the funds, right? If you are profitable, why do you need investors' money? You don't need investors' money, right? So because you're not profitable, you need the money so that you can keep growing faster. You can keep hiring the best of the talents in the sales, in the marketing, or the research development or product development, so that you can outrun your competition. COVID has also taught us that cash is king, right? You need to have cash. The shortage of cash is probably the biggest reason why most of the startups, or even most of the industries or businesses, they fail, right? So managing the cash flow, knowing your cash inflows and cash outflows is very, very important. So make sure you have a good person, a person who understands not just the accounts, but also the finance aspects of running a business. It's very, very important. I've seen so many startups primarily fail because of mismanagement of funds, right? It's not that they don't have funds, they did not manage their funds properly. Okay, so these are some of the things. So now let's come to one of the most important aspect, which a lot of you may have in your mind, that okay, I heard all these things, great, but please tell me how to actually raise funds. So here again, I'll also tell you that choosing the right investor is important, because like I said earlier, it's a marriage, right? It's a marriage between the founders and the investors. So having the right investor is also important. Otherwise, getting a wrong investor or the wavelengths not matching can actually bring the whole exercise of getting investment. It will have a counterproductive effect, right? So finding the right investor is important. There are many out there. We call them angels, like high net worth individuals, basically rich people, people who have money and are looking to invest. Even the likes of actors and cricketers and so many other people do a lot of angel investment, or also what are called high net worth individuals. Typically, this investment happens up to $1 million or 7.5 crore rupees. Once you go beyond that, then we start talking about this Series A, Series B, Series C, all the way up to Series X kind of rounds of investments, where again the angels may come in, or high net worth may come in, or there are family offices. Like a lot of rich people, like Ratan Tata has a family office, or Harsh Mariwala ji has a family office. A lot of these Infosys founders, they have their own family offices where their wealth is being professionally managed and being invested in some of these startups. Then you also have the venture capitals, VC funds. So they again are looking for good places to invest their money. They are ready to fund your burns in after studying that, okay, they might be burning today, but there will come a point where it will turn around and will make a lot of money. So you have angels, you have high net worth individuals, you have VC funds, you have family offices. All of these guys are looking to invest in good companies. Then there's another set of investors called the private equity funds, but typically they look for at least 3 years of history. They want profitable companies. So if you are a typical burn model, then probably P's may stay away from you. But if you're a mature company and you're looking for a next level of growth, then probably private equity companies are definitely a good option. Then there are some impact funds. So what happens is a lot of these funds are very aggressive. They're looking for high returns, which probably your idea, especially if you're in a social enterprise, may not offer, right? You're at the bottom of the pyramid working for the poor or the underprivileged. So you may not be able to give them their rent, the returns that they're expecting, 20%, 30%, whatever, 2x, 5x, 10x. And that's where these impact funds come into picture, where they are ready to take lower returns because their mindset is to help what we call the bottom of the pyramid strata of our society. So there is Dutch Good Growth Fund, there's Asha Impact Fund, where who are ready to invest in startups in social impact and expecting lesser returns. Then there are certain tools. Definitely you can sign up either free or paid tools. There's one called CB Insights. There is VC Circle. You can go out and do a lot of networking. There is the Indus Entrepreneurs like Thai and so many other places. And then this website, please make a note of this website, amazing job sumhr.com have done, where in one of their blogs, they have given a complete list of more than 250 VCs, almost 20 or so these family offices, almost 100 plus private equity funds. So it's in one single place you can get information of a lot of investors who are actively investing in the Indian scenario. So that's about more or less what I wanted to cover in today's session. And I hope you have got a lot of insights as to what are the investors looking at, how to look whether I'm fundable, whether I'm funding ready, where I can go to find funds, who are the different type of investors, the HNIs, the angels, the VCs, the Ps. So hopefully I've tried to give you a complete gamut of the investing world in the startup space, especially in the equity investing, right? So these give you money, and in return they take equity or the stakes in your company. So in case you need any more clarification or help, or you're looking to raise funds, need some guidance, feel free to reach out to me. You can Google me, search me on LinkedIn. I'm sure you'll find uh, my contact details. You can reach out to me over phone or email or WhatsApp, and I'll be more than happy to help you. So thank you very much. And I'll also like to thank the Chamber for Advancement of Small and Medium Businesses for giving me this opportunity to interact with you, to present to you the basics of startup funding and a few other concepts. Also give you some tools from where you can find funding on your own. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and until next time, signing off, Nilesh Lele.